The Imperial Court of Draconis Prime fell silent as Empress Aliana descended from her obsidian throne. Her scales, iridescent crimson touched with gold, shimmered under the palace's eternal flames. She was magnificent. 300 feet of raw power, ancient magic, and barely contained fury. Her eyes, molten amber pools that had witnessed 5,000 years of galactic history, swept across the assembled suitors with thinly veiled contempt. "Next," she commanded, her voice reverberating through the crystalline pillars. A Vraxian warlord stepped forward, his forearms laden with tribute. He lasted precisely 12 seconds before her gaze reduced him to a stammering mess. He fled, leaving behind his offerings. Aliana sighed, smoke curling from her nostrils. 12 suitors today, 12 failures. The dragon clans demanded she take a consort to solidify alliances, to continue the bloodline, to maintain tradition. But how could any match her power? Her intelligence, her will? They either cowered in terror or burned with avarice, seeing only her throne, never her. "Perhaps we should adjourn, Your Majesty," her chamberlain suggested nervously. "The strain—" "Bring the next one," Aliana interrupted coldly. The massive doors groaned open. Instead of another pompous noble or calculating merchant prince, a single human walked in. He was unremarkable by most standards. Average height for his species, wearing a worn leather jacket over simple civilian clothes. His hair, dark brown with premature silver at the temples, was tied back casually. Scars traced his jaw and hands, the kind earned through survival, not decoration. He carried no tribute, no weapons, no entourage, just a small data pad tucked under one arm. James Walker, the attendance list read. Human, veteran of the frontier wars. No titles. No wealth, no house affiliation. The court erupted in whispers. The audacity, the insult. Aliana's eyes narrowed dangerously as James approached. He walked with the easy confidence of someone who'd faced death and decided it wasn't particularly impressive. When he reached the appropriate distance, he didn't prostrate himself or avert his gaze as protocol demanded. Instead, he looked directly at her, truly looked, and smiled. Not a nervous grimace. Not an arrogant smirk. A genuine, warm smile that reached his eyes. "Your Majesty," he said simply, his voice carrying clearly without shouting. "Thank you for seeing me." Aliana felt something she hadn't experienced in centuries. Surprise. "You smile," she observed, her tone dangerous. "Do you not know what I am? What I've done to those who've displeased me?" "I know exactly what you are," James replied evenly. "I've read the histories. The Battle of Crimson Nebula, where you held off 3 invasion fleets alone. The Treaty of Seven Suns that you negotiated, preventing a genocide. The reforms you've pushed through that have saved billions of lives across this sector." He tilted his head slightly. "I also know you've been interviewing suitors for 3 months and sent every single one running. Figured that was worth smiling about," the court gasped. Such insolence would normally result in immediate incineration, but Aliana didn't incinerate him. Instead, she leaned closer, her massive head lowering until one enormous eye filled James's vision. He could feel the heat radiating from her, smell the sulfur and spice of her breath. "And what makes you different, human?" The word dripped with challenge. "What makes you think you're worthy where princes and warlords have failed?" James didn't flinch. "I don't." Silence. "I'm not here because I think I'm worthy," he continued calmly. "I'm here because everyone else came seeking something from you. Power, status, wealth, alliance. They saw the throne, not the person sitting on it." He held up the data pad. "I brought you something. Not tribute, just something I thought you might like." Aliana's eyes flickered with curiosity, another unfamiliar sensation. With delicate precision that belied her massive claws, she took the device. On its screen was a collection of human literature, poetry, philosophy, fiction, stories from 100 different worlds and cultures. "During the war," James explained, "I spent 3 years on a destroyer. Long stretches of nothing but void and waiting. I read everything I could, found that stories help you understand not just what people are, but who they are." He gestured to the datapad. "I marked some pieces I thought might interest you. There's a particular collection of poems about loneliness and duty, written by an admiral who commanded for 60 years, and a philosophical treatise on the burden of immortality. I thought, maybe you'd appreciate perspectives from beings who understood what it means to carry weight that others can't see." For the first time in 3 months, Aliana was genuinely interested. You believe I'm lonely? I think anyone who's lived 5,000 years and sits in judgment of everyone they meet probably understands loneliness better than most, James said quietly. I think playing the role of the terrifying Empress gets exhausting. And I think maybe, just maybe, you'd like to have a conversation with someone who isn't trying to take something from you. Aliana drew back, regarding him with new eyes. This human wasn't offering tribute or promises. He was offering recognition, understanding, something infinitely rarer than gold. You're a veteran, she stated. You've killed. Yes. You've lost comrades. Yes. You understand duty that outlasts joy. James met her gaze steadily. Yes. Aliana was quiet for a long moment. Then impossibly she shifted. The ancient magic that was her birthright flowed like water, and where the enormous dragon had been, a woman now stood. She was tall and elegant, with the same amber eyes and the same weight of ages in her expression. Crimson hair cascaded down her back, and her features held an ageless beauty that spoke of both power and exhaustion. It was a form she rarely took, one reserved for equals. Walk with me, James Walker, she said, her voice now pitched for mortal ears. Tell me about these poems. And perhaps, tell me about yourself. James smiled again, that same genuine expression that had started everything. I'd be honored, Your Majesty. Aliana, she corrected as they moved toward the palace gardens, leaving a stunned court behind. If we're to have a conversation, you should use my name. As they disappeared through the archway, the chamberlain finally found his voice. Did that just happen? In the gardens, surrounded by flowers that bloomed with starlight, the dragon empress and the human veteran talked. They spoke of poetry and war, of loneliness and hope, of the weight of duty and the value of a genuine smile. For the first time in 3 months, perhaps in centuries, Aliana laughed. And in the Empire's long history, no one could remember the last time that sound had graced the imperial palace. End.